Hello world, Theet here, and in this video I will show you how and why I transformed my nether hub from this into this in hardcore Minecraft. Our story begins around day 7650, right after I finished flooding the nether and filling the ocean floor with life. Despite all this water and lush greenery, the nether hub itself stuck out like a sore thumb, a homogenous mass of blackstone and nether bricks. Sure, there were a few vines hanging from the bottom of the bridges, but the main towers were completely bare. So I set out to change this by adding all the vegetation I could imagine. I began by filling the walls of the towers with glow lichen and vines. Since vines just grow wherever they want and make an awful mess, they need blocks in the way to control their growth. Normally I do this with string, like in Ender Acres, but here I wanted to kill two birds with one stone and use the glow lichen to block the vines from consuming everything. So I first made veins of glow lichen going around and around the side of the tower, and then stuck vines into the gaps and left them to grow. Naturally, this also had to be done on the pillars that supported the bridges. Meanwhile, there was another problem. Glow lichens and vines grow very well on walls, but not so much on flatter surfaces like the roof of the towers. Also, the nether hub needed more colors than just the bluish-white glow lichen that barely glows, and the dull yellow-green of vines in the nether. Also, this roof was not spawn-proof, meaning it could spawn all sorts of nuisances like piglins that hate my fashion choices and ghasts with pyromaniac tendencies. So this time I opted to kill 3 birds with 1 stone and cover the roof with a much more vibrant but also spawn-broken blocks like azalea leaves, one of the few kinds not to change color in the nether, moss carpets, moss blocks with moss carpets on top, shroomlights, which I always cover in leaves to make them clash less with the surroundings while still providing light, and a lot more. So I sprinkled these around the roof, prioritizing moss carpets on the outside and the taller full blocks further inwards to give the vegetation a sense of depth and make it visible from the ground. A few blackstone buttons on the remaining exposed blackstone also blocked mob spawning wherever I didn't put these blocks. Of course, the buttons didn't work so swimmingly on the nether brick part of the roof since, nether brick buttons aren't a thing. Citation needed. Fortunately, I, in the chat, came up with the idea of using green candles, which look kind of like vegetation from afar and have the added benefit of providing more light to the dark nether. But I didn't want to spam candles absolutely everywhere, so I threw in a bunch of nether brick slabs as well, which surprisingly didn't ruin the shape of the roof as much as I feared. With this out of the way, the only bare parts were the walls and roofs of the bridges, so these were what I tackled in the next stream. These roofs were bottom slabs, so placing anything directly against the roof was impossible, but these long trailing vines of leaves, crisscrossing wildly across the roof and walls, didn't look all that bad actually, especially when it was lit up with more leaf-covered shroomlights. Now there was only one thing left to be done, lighting up the walls. They were still very dark, and the glow lichen barely helped at all. But what did help is yet more leaf-covered shroomlights, this time taking the form of blob-like bushes affixed to the walls, as well as some leafy stalactites. Yes, I'm positive that's the right word. Hanging from the ceiling of the bridges, because why not? But after I finished, disaster struck. The pyromaniac ghasts, irate that their home is being destroyed and flooded with an alien substance, and their natural habitat destroyed, came and burned down my carefully placed vegetation, leaving a hideous mess behind. But I wanted to make this video, so I hastily cleaned up the mess and planted more vegetation, or at least I tried to. It's not as good looking as it once was, and I'll probably have to do this 5 more times before I can completely finish the Nether Jungle and gas spawning once and for all, but it's a start. And with that, my Nether Hub makeover was complete, except for the name. Nether Hub is too generic. It doesn't do this place justice anymore, so it will now be known as the Overgrown Fortress, because that's kind of what it is now. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the cinematic. Oh, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.